Yeah, it's working. Good evening and welcome to the Cottonwood Heights City Council Business Meeting. Today's June 7th, 2022, and my name is Mayor Mike Wickers. I have asked our IT manager, Matt Irvin, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. Matt.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Matt. So item 3.0 on our agenda is a citizen comment period. I do not see a comment card. Do we have any citizens that would like to comment today? Come on up, Runar.
Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Runar Bowman. I live in District 3, Cottonwood Heights. I'm a little ill-prepared, but I just was looking at the budget for the upcoming fiscal year 22-23, and under the capital fund, I was actually looking at just across the line there. There's an other line, and what caught my eye was for actually the 2021-22 year, an adjusted column. There was the line stated that it was the solar panels and bike lanes. And for that current year, the amount was $563,000 and some other dollars. And I noticed that in the proposed budget that's coming up, it dropped to $50,000. My question is, and I know you don't answer questions at this point, but I'm just kind of curious, what the cost of the solar panels actually was, because apparently it's been paid for because it's not on the upcoming budget. So I assume it's been paid for already. I noticed that $50,000 that continues on, I'm assuming is for bike lanes. Not sure, but I just be like to, again, just see what those panels actually did cost taxpayers, Cottonwood Heights. So if I get a chance to hear from that, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thanks, Runar. So when you see a line item on a budget, that was the total cost of the solar panels. However, we received funding for, I think, almost the entire cost. Remind Tim, do you have the number off the top of your head?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but it was several $100,000 that we received in a grant for that project.
So we did receive almost, I think the cost of the city might have been what the 50 was.
Yeah, we'll clarify that and reach out to Runar on that.
Is there anyone else that's come a little late that would like to comment? No? Okay. With that, I will now close the citizen comment period. So we do have a public hearing tonight on the proposed budget for our 2022-2023 fiscal year. I'm actually going to have our city manager, Tim Tingy, give us an update.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. So in the first meeting of May 3rd, the City Council deliberated and adopted the tentative budget that has been available for public comment since that time. And also, as part of the process, we've had a number of public meetings where the council in their work session has discussed different aspects of the budget and provided different recommendations. Let me just outline real briefly, since the tentative budget was adopted, what additions that are included in the budget or the direction has been included. And then ultimately, the decision on this will occur on June 21st. And so that's when we're mandated under state law to make a final decision approving the budget. But from the tentative budget to with the deliberation of the council and the input, we've included additional line items, which would be public works building as part of the first year in this budget in payment of principal and interest of $516,134. So that will be added to the budget as part of the bond process. We are also including the road and traffic study for the Central Wasatch Commission. That's to participate in that study of $15,000. That's an increase from what the tentative budget was adopted at. There's a reduction in the amount of increase initially anticipated for the Valley Emergency Communications Center of $14,550. So that's a net savings from what the tentative budget adoption was. It's still an increase, but includes that savings. The Unified Fire Authority, there's a reduction in what was adopted in the tentative budget. Still, there is an increase, but there is a reduction in that increase of $87,611. Mayor, you had significant involvement in that conversation with the Unified Fire Authority Board related to that. Once again, they will finalize their budget on June 21st. So if there's any adjustments that will occur in the morning and in the evening, we will have that. But we're anticipating 87,000 as we've talked with their finance director. There is an addition that we just spoke about for topical scientific surveys of $12,000 that we will incorporate for your consideration on the 21st. There's a liability insurance increase amount that we just received in the amount of approximately 34,000 that will be corresponding in the budget that you'll consider. And then we're going to look at compensation increases. You just spoke in the work session and gave direction for the 6% COLA and then the average of 2.5 for the merit. And then we will also move forward on the process for council compensation based on market study that we've done to bring the council, or at least to have you consider a future ordinance on an increase in that area. We will have the final property tax rate probably early next week. And so that will also be incorporated in the final documents. We will prepare those and have them in your packet for June 21st for your final consideration of the budget. And obviously, if there's any changes or adjustments you want to make at that meeting, you can as well. So based on that, that's what we're proposing in addition to what the tentative budget outlines. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, comments from the council? So I will now open up that public hearing comment period for the proposed budget for 2022-2023 fiscal year. I don't have any comment cards in front of me. Would anybody in the audience like to speak again specific to the proposed budget for next year? If you would state your name for us into the microphone. Thank you.
David Berry, 2295 Loretta Way, in Mr. Bracken's district. My question, it's really two questions. One, if there's going to be a tax increase, I did not hear the amount, and I have not seen the amount stated anywhere, but maybe I've missed it.
I can answer that very quickly. There is not a proposed tax increase in this budget.
There are increases to individual line items within our budget that we are covering through our general fund. But there are not any, we are not increasing taxes on through any revenue.
Then I'm confused because I thought you just said you were preparing for a tax increase that you would submit next week or June 21.
The state will give us their tax rate for property taxes.
Yeah, it's the final property tax rate that is distributed to all the cities next week by the state. We are not proposing in this budget a tax increase. If we did propose a tax increase, there would be an additional process, public hearing process that we'd have to go through roughly in August. We're not proposing a tax increase. The levy rate will be adjusted, based on increases, and the levy rate will probably likely go down if the total valuation of the city goes up, which is likely.
We are also not expecting any increases from any of the taxing entities.
Usually at least one of the does something.
And my second question is the merit increase. Is there a designation as to I guess anytime you say absolutes, so maybe I'm wrong to say, does everyone get a merit increase? But it would be more like, what's the target? Is it 10% of employees get a merit increase? Is it 20%? Like, everyone can't get the same merit increase or a merit increase across the board. Otherwise, you might as well just quit playing with words and call it a COLA. So some people would not get a merit increase, like what percentage? There's got to be a target. So when you say a 2.5 to a, say, a 4% or whatever merit increase, how much are you actually projecting that the employee wage budget is going to increase? And then that would then tell us a little bit more about how many people are probably going to get the increase. What's your target as managers of the city employees? That's my question.
Yeah, thank you for your question. I can address it, Tim, or do you want me to?
I can unless you want to.
Oh, go ahead.
So the merit increase, it's based on a table that's been adopted by the council, and it includes percentages depending on the number of years of longevity that you've been working. But all of the merit increases are based on job performance. So there's an evaluation by each of the supervisors. Every single employee is evaluated in the city. And then if they meet the criteria, they would receive a merit increase. There's some that don't because of performance, and many that do. As far as projections, it's based on that performance evaluation.
There's just a little more clarification that that's part of a 10-year plan that the employees, staff are eligible for. And so after 10 years, they're not eligible for that step increase. And so the average percentage increase is 2.4%.
2.4% of the entire employee wage budget for the whole city. I really didn't get clarification on what you said. I know you tried, and I'm not trying to be argumentative, but I'm trying to understand, and maybe the people of our city would want to know, are you saying that you're going to have a 2.5% merit increase for 50% of the employees? I mean, when you say a few aren't getting it or some aren't getting it, that could be 2 people who are on the edge of getting fired anyway, and everyone else is getting it. So we might as well call it a COLA. I'm just trying to understand, as a manager, are you saying, 10 or 15% are going to get it? Or is it essentially 90% of the people are going to get it? What's the number? You've got to have that number as a manager.
We have great employees. Historically, we've had the majority of our employees get that. It's hard to say, to give you an exact number depending on performance this year. But the cost outlined in the budget for merit increases is roughly in the range of $250,000 that we're budgeting. And then it'll all depend on those performance increases.
$250,000 against what total wage budget you're talking about? And then maybe we'll get to a number that helps us understand what you're targeting.
Mayor, I think rather than going back and forth here, we can have a conversation with our budget director, can talk about this and contact you.
Fine. And again, I'm just trying to understand the real number. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to comment this evening?
My name is Runer Bowman, District 3. I was looking at the budget report, and one thing that struck me is what's been going on in the past, and I think even into this current budget, if I'm correct, that the city is receiving grant money from the federal government. American Recovery Act, I think, is a name that comes to mind, and others in the past, substantial amounts of money. And it's great. We've been able to spend money on needed infrastructure projects, both present and I believe future. Public Works building, I think, comes to mind. So that's been really a good thing for our city. And I think the money has been spent, wisely, if you will. My concern is that, going forward, I suspect that stream of money coming from federal government is going to dry up. Those acts are all done with. We're not going to see that again. Those are kind of one-offs. And does the city have like a rainy day fund that we contribute a percentage to that can kind of possibly address future expenditures, because they're going to come? And without that grant money that we've been getting, I could see some serious shortfalls possibly that could really impact our city's finances and possibly lead to rate increases, tax increases and such. Just kind of curious if we have a formula that we follow with, say, let's just call it a rainy day fund, as far as putting money aside for future unforeseen events. Thank you.
Thanks, Runar. So yeah, to give a little bit of context, our city is required to maintain a minimum fund balance in our general fund. And that is actually specified from the state, a specific percentage. I think it's 5%.
5%.
We actually, as a city, have increased that percentage to take into account for the things that you were talking about. Let me just clarify with ARPA, the funds that are available. We knew that they were one-time generated funds, and those are not in any sense something that the council is looking at, including that in a future budget. We knew that those were one-time funds, and so they're not allocated. We're not anticipating any more money, and so then they're not included in any
They
other
were
budget.
dependent on one-time projects.
Exactly. So yep, the projects were capital projects to work on our infrastructure. Hopefully that's a good clarification. Let me just add before, as we close this session of our public hearing, merit-based pay is very common with every industry, most companies have some type of a merit-based increase every year. And our employees within the city are eligible for merit increases for a period of 10 years. And after that 10 years, they're not. Some years they will get that merit increase, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they'll get part of it. So it is not an automatic increase, but it is something that is built into our salary structure. So hopefully that provides a little bit more clarification. With that, I will now close the public hearing for item 4.1, our proposed budget for 2022-2023. We only have a single action legislative item this evening, and that is 5.1, consideration of resolution 2022-30, consenting to appointments to the Parks, Trails, and Open Space Committee. We actually discussed this item early in our work session. Are there any other questions or comments from the council about this committee?
They do a good job, and it's been a while since I know two District 2 residents that have done any of our renewals for any of our committees. So, I mean, with that, I would suggest we approve resolution 2020-30. Sorry, Doug.
Like we have another comment still, Scott. Councilmember.
Well, and I very much applaud all the appointees that our city manager has identified. They've already served on the PTOS committee, and that's very admirable. And I'm so happy that they're willing to renew and serve another term. And I would just like to, again, I understand there's one more PTOS committee position available to be filled. And again, I'm very hopeful that someone who has a background in bicycle safety, pedestrian safety in those areas come forward and apply, I think that that would even be, make our PTOS committee even as stronger and a little more diverse. So
Thank you, Councilmember Burrell. We are grateful for those that will serve in our city. Okay, I will now entertain a motion to approve resolution 2022-30.
I got it. I said it. So
And I would
said
like,
Ellen said a lot of things, but she didn't say I
Yeah.
second. So I wonder about
and just to make sure, I would like to second that motion.
We have a motion to approve resolution 2022-30 consenting to appointments to the Parks, Trails and Open Space Committee by Councilmember Bracken and a second by Councilmember Peterson. Any other questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, I will now call for the vote. Councilmember Peterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bracken,
it. Yes.
Councilmember Newell,
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell,
yes,
and I will vote yes. Okay, the last item for this evening is approval of the consent calendar, which are the minutes for our meetings on May 17th. Could I have a motion to approve these minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
The motion to approve from Councilmember Burrell and a second from Councilmember Newell. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? So we did not finish our agenda within our work session today. So we are going to, I will ask for a motion to adjourn our business meeting and to reopen our work session that will also include a closed session.
We can do that in here and on this broadcast. Or we can go back to.
Actually, we probably do need to do that in here, right? The work session,
I think we could do that. That would continue.
because
the
we've
same-
already
the-
closed it down. So yes, we'll do it in here.
All right, now I'd move that we adjourn the business meeting and reopen our work session.
I second that.
Motion to adjourn from Councilmember Bracken and a second from Councilmember Peterson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned for now. Okay, and we do, Shane, do I need to, how do I open the second or the work session one more time?
We'll open it in the room when we get the recorder set.
Thought we would just do the work session, Matt. kind of-
We have a report from Matt in the open work session. And then I thought we could adjourn
yeah.
that, open the closed meeting and go to the other room. Okay. So Mayor, I just probably say entertain a motion to reopen the work session and go ahead.
Entertain a motion to reopen the work session.
All right, I'll do it again.
Second,
I'll second.
okay. A motion to open the work session by Councilmember Bracken and a second by Councilmember Newell. Okay.
Somebody on the right side of the aisle. came up.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we will now ask our Public Works Director, Matt Ship, to come up and give us a report on the Public Works project bid.
This is going to be really quick. I'm just going to give you an update real quick on what's happening with two of our projects. We have two federal projects. One is the parking lot on Ferguson Canyon. Remember, there's two projects up there. One's the park, city sponsored, and the other is the parking lot, which is a federal sponsored project. And the other project I'd like to tell you what's happening real quick is the 2600 sidewalk, 2600 East Sidewalk. Both of these projects are to the point and ready for bid. We've gone through it, that we've had them for about a month, ready to go. Went through some final things, but they are ready to go to bid. Recently, we had, excuse me, we have been contacted by UDOT. And UDOT has brought forward a request that we hold off on bidding. What they're finding is a couple of things are happening. One, Some projects are coming in 25 to 50% over the engineer's estimate right now. And that's because of a few things, materials in some cases, shortage of labor in other cases, and some they're just too busy. Contractors, they've had one or two projects people haven't even bid on because of their workloads right now. So it's a really bad bidding environment that we're in right now for those two projects. They have asked that cities or municipalities with federal projects that they do one of two things. One, bid, if you want to bid it now, we can bid it now, but expect that we'll have prices that are well over the engineer's estimate. And that once again is due to scheduling of what people have on their books. I mean, some companies will go after a project, but they'll tag a real premium on it because they really don't want it. But if they get it, all the better. So we can bid it now and then put the construction off until next year. And that's one option. But if we're doing that, we have the premium that goes on top of that, plus the unknown with inflation at this point. So people are also tagging a little bit more for unknown inflation. The other option that we are leaning towards, and I would recommend that we do, is that we bid these projects in January and February, where we can actually get an actual price. We are looking to things, to settle down. I know I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not even close to an economist, but we'd hope prices would be settled down and we'd have a better understanding of what those two are, and then start construction in the spring on both of those projects. Now, if we go to bid now and the prices do come in above our estimate or really high above our estimate, we would have to commit those extra funds to these projects before they'll award a contract as well. So it's kind of it's a difficult situation. But right now I'm recommending that we hold off on those projects till January and follow UDOT's recommendation, bidding those in January, winter, early winter. And yeah, companies can schedule a little better. Their schedules are open and they're looking for jobs and things of that nature. So I just wanted to bring that forward and let you know what's happening. Right now, the parking lot does exist up in Ferguson. It's the dirt parking lot that's always been there. The park is on schedule. We are moving forward with the park. We will work out a way to, at this point, kind of have a pedestrian access, because there is a bit of a gap between the two until the new parking lot's built some sort of a pedestrian access to get in there, so people are able to utilize that right now once it's completed. But we're still on schedule. We knew that we were going to have to wait a little bit, let the plantings take hold, and so things are moving forward on that. So that's the update on those two projects.
Mayor, may I add something? We, on the Ferguson Park project, which Matt had indicated, there's two components of that. We are required with our agreements with Salt Lake County to have that project completed by the end of this year. We're going to have conversations with them about this issue and feel like they won't have a concern with us waiting to bid and then moving forward in the spring and getting it done. So anyway, that's the direction we're looking at, as Matt has recommended, and then we'll have that conversation with them to make sure they're comfortable with that plan.
They really want it done. They really want it done and want to guarantee the access bid. That works too.
Tim, I'm
Maybe
glad you brought, go ahead.
So maybe with the dirt and the rocks and stuff, you can just put up like parking lot for a year and then we'll know why.
I'm glad that, Tim, I'm glad you brought that up. I knew we had a time constraint for this year. And so if we can get them to give us that leeway, contractors right now, the bids we're getting in our parks, everything is off the charts, but this is probably the busiest any contractor will be is right now.
Yeah.
If we get into January, February, and I think that would be a prudent decision to make if we could do
I see
that.
a lot of it as scheduling and manpower, or, I think that's a lot of what's happening right now. Their contractors are very busy. And
Said the other one, Matt, was a sidewalk project.
I'm sorry.
Said the other one was a.
Yeah, the other one's the
project?
2600 East Sidewalk. If you'll recall, that goes from approximately Tony Circle down and ties in where the sidewalk ends. I wish I can give you an address on it, but it goes north from Tony Circle and it just ties that section of sidewalk in front of the school.
Right now, the kids are forced to cross.
Yeah,
right
they
there at
cross the
Tony,
street
there's
and
a
walk
cross.
down different sides.
This
so-
would make a retaining wall. down the side Where they could.
I know concrete has been an issue with some of the big projects that I know about. Some of them are out weeks.
Yes, concrete is an item, especially if you're getting large quantities, it's taking quite a bit of time to get that. Sure.
Well, great. Questions, comments? Thank you, Matt.
Okay, so
Appreciate
we'll
your-
move forward in that direction.
Thank you.
Matt, I want to thank you really quick. The fence looks great on Highland Drive and between 75th South, those pillars. I think it's nice to have that done. Appreciate it. There's a few things on the bottoms that I want to look at, you know what I mean? Just on where it meets the cement, some of the grouts out there, but I've had a lot of comments for those people down there. Appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, there's still a couple of things on those fences we need to do. One, somebody hit one of the panels and hauled it off after they hit it. It looks like, so we got to replace that. And then there's some
That's
panels.
down by the Neiman property, right close
I
to
don't
the
know what the
light.
property is, but yes, and then there's some panels that are, part of this project wasn't to replace the panels. It was fix the posts, so we still need to go in and look at some of those rusted out panels but anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
We'll move forward.
Thank you.
Great. So item 7 on our work session agenda is a review of calendars and upcoming events. A reminder that our next city council meetings will be on June 21st here at City Hall, starting at 4 p.m. with the work session, 6:30 for the business meeting. There's a movie in the park, Ghostbusters Afterlife, will be on June 24th at Mountain View Park, starting at 9 p.m. A community shred event will be on June 28th at City Hall from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. City Hall will be closed in observation of Independence Day on July 4th. Doug Peterson's office will be open. City council meetings will be on July 5th at City Hall as well, starting at 4 p.m. Planning Commission meetings will be on July 6th at City Hall, starting at 5. And our city council meetings will also be on July 19th. City Hall will be closed in observation of Pioneer Day on July 25th. Last Cottonwood Heights Butlerville Days, July 28th, 30th. Volunteers and sponsors needed. Please visit butlervilledays.com. Absolute last movie, another movie in the park, Sing 2 will be on July 29th at Butler Park. 9 p.m. Okay, so we do have an item, like I mentioned earlier, to discuss in a closed session today. We will be discussing a real estate matter. So at this point, I will entertain a motion to adjourn our work session and enter into a closed session.
Make that motion and allow 5 minutes for us to get over that.
I would like to second that, maybe 6 minutes.
Motion from Councilmember Bracken and a second from Councilmember Peterson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned for 6 minutes.